4 knights game, Scotch variation accepted, 5.nx d4 bb4 6.nx c6 bx c6 7.bd3 d5 8.x5 cx d5 9.000 10.bg5 c6 11.qf3. Balanced, neither player ever had an advantage. That game was pretty competitive. Both players had an amazing opening. Sharp games are frequently the result of starting with the king's pawn, since it dominates the center and frees up the bishop and queen on the light squares. A typical answer is e5, which builds a position in the middle, controls d4, and frees up the queen and bishop on the dark square. The move nf3 advances the knight toward the center, engages the e5 piece in combat, and sets up a castle. nc6 defends the pawn on e5, advances the knight toward the center, and scans the d4 square. In the Scotch game, d4 gains space in the center and attacks the e5 square twice. x4 opens up the center, and is somewhat forced given that white was attacking the pawn twice, and protecting with d6 doesn't work out. nx d4 recaptures the pawn and centralizes the knight. nf6 advances the knight and engages in an attack on the exposed e4 pawn. nx c6 captures the knight and forces black to double their c-pawns. bx c6 captures the knight, controls the d5 square and opens up the b-file. A pawn that was being attacked and had no defenses is now protected by this. It is ideal. This pins a knight to the king. bd3 develops the bishop toward the center, defends the e4 pawn and prepares castling. The pawn on d5 attacks the e4 square and occupies the center's c4 square. x5 captures the d5 pawn, opens up the diagonal for the light-squared bishop and attacks the c6 pawn. cx d5 recaptures the pawn, undoubles black c-pawns and controls the e4 square. Castling gets the king out of the center and activates the rook. Castling gets the king out of the center and activates the rook. bg5 develops the bishop and pins the knight on f6. When c6 is played, the d5 pawn is supported and the queen can grow on the queen side. qf3 develops the queen to an aggressive square where it attacks the pinned knight on f6. Balanced, neither player ever had an advantage. That game was pretty competitive. Both players had an amazing opening. This moves the bishop to a better location, allowing it to control more squares. It is the last book move. Balanced, neither player ever had an advantage. That game was pretty competitive. Both players had an amazing opening.